You are finding yourself getting emotionally wrapped up and emotionally invested in things that are happening outside of you. Welcome to part 4 of the Disconnect series. I'm going to talk about emotional currency today. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because things are happening in the world. And you are finding yourself getting emotionally invested, getting fired up, and having conversations with people or engaging in not arguments, but just disputes about these particular topics. And the reason this is happening is because you are spending your emotional currency. Your emotional currency is an energy. Much like money, money is also an energy. You like to determine how your money is spent. You might not always like the cost of things, but you like to determine how you spend your money. But I don't think you're understanding that you are also determining how you're spending your emotions, because that is also currency. That is also energy. When you get yourself wrapped up in the drama, in the conversation, in the arguments, you are spending your emotional currency, and you are allowing the person you are spending it on to determine how you are about to feel next. That is a dangerous game to play. There's a big disconnect there, because what will end up happening is you are spending your emotional currency in the hands of someone else, a political leader, a friend in the group, the boss of the company, because they represent you. You spend your emotional currency, it's sitting there, and they are going to determine for you if you are about to feel good or you are about to feel bad. You've now handed all of your power away. You've spent your emotional currency, because they're not going to necessarily give it back to you. If you give them that power to determine what your emotion is about to be next, you've given your power away. Because you're either going to feel good or you're going to feel bad. And the good might not even feel that good, because you might not get your way. If you don't get your way, you get even more emotionally invested, and you're spending more emotional currency. And now you want to say it louder, or now you want to fight back, or now you want to get into a bigger argument. This happens in personal relationships too, because you are spending your emotional currency. But what you might not be doing is stopping to determine, does this align with my values? Are they violating my values? Are they violating who I am? Are they violating my morals? Spend the emotional currency there. But if it's not doing that, and not to the extent where it's having a direct impact on you, do you want to keep spending your emotional currency there? Or is it more important to separate the facts and the emotions? If they're violating it based on the facts, and it's something that they can actively do to change, then it's important to speak up, but you can separate your emotional currency from that point. So you can say, here are the facts. You are violating my values. You are violating my boundaries. That's important. But when you assign emotional currency, now you are handing off the emotion you're about to feel. You are now saying, you get now to determine how I'm about to feel, because you've handed off that emotional currency. You've paid them, and they're holding it in their hand, and they'll consider it, and they're like, nope. And then you get more angry and more emotionally invested. But you did that. You allowed them. And so you're either going to give more emotional currency, or you're going to let it go. And this is where gamblers get caught up, right? They put their emotions in the winning. They win, they want to get more. But then if they lose, they're kind of angry, and they're like, no, I'm going to spend more money, and I'm going to get the result I want. Because now their emotions are attached into it. That's just one silly example, and it's so much deeper than that. I know that. But my point is that when we spend that emotional currency, if you cannot detach the emotion from the actual value of what you're trying to get across, you are putting your power in the hands of someone else. You are disconnected from your emotional currency, because you're allowing that person to now determine how you are about to feel. It's building a house on sand. That's not a solid foundation. So you have to get back in control of that. You have to determine how you are going to spend your emotional currency. Do you want to get wrapped up in that? Do you want to feel icky before you go to sleep at night because you got into an argument? What was the value? Is the relationship valuable? Is the job valuable to you? Or is your emotional investment more important? Right? The investment of your stance of being right or being a certain way, or can there be a mutual ground that you come to where you equally emotionally invest, so you equally have skin in the game to make the next determination, to make the next decision. But if you fully hand it over, of course, now you're in an unstable place because you're allowing someone else to determine it for you. And what I think we often forget is that once, let's say that you've spent your emotional currency, you hand it off to somebody else, you're hoping that they agree with you and go your way, and they don't. They go off living their life. They made their decision. And because they don't care about your emotional investment, you are now tied up in knots inside because you spent your emotional currency and it didn't go your way. And so you're the one walking around with negative feelings about it. You're the one feeling crappy all the time. They're not, because they didn't spend any emotional currency. You spent it all. And this happens for a small example of like road rage. You are so emotionally invested. You get so angry about the car in front of you. That car does not care about you. The person in that car doesn't care about you. They care about you. They care about what's going on in their life. You are nothing to them, but you are emotionally invested. Do you want to spend your emotional currency in that moment? Or would you rather spend your emotional currency with the people you love the most, where it's reciprocated back to you? You have to make that determination. And so the way to emotionally connect, close that disconnect, is to start taking control of your emotional currency. Where are you spending your emotions? Where are you spending your feelings? Are you spending it where it matters, or are you spending it where it doesn't matter? And once you do that evaluation, it's going to be really easy for you to start disconnecting the emotions from certain things and taking logical action, not fear-based action or anger-based action. Your relationships are going to start changing, mostly in positive ways, unless there's not an equal emotional currency exchange. I hope this is making sense. I hope this is helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.